Okay. Welcome. Um, okay. So, today what I wanted to talk about is, as you can tell by the title of this live stream, Sign of Aquarius, the not so good side of it, and the high road of it. Now, I have a video on Aquarius season. You can go watch that. It's called Aquarius Season Rebelling, and I put this in big letters, or openness. Rebelling or openness. And that is a little glimpse into what I really want to talk about today. I made that video and I just thought, well, I just feel like I could express it and talk about it more. And so I'm on this live stream. And I don't want to put any guilt on anyone. They have not seen that video yet. So, this video is solely based off of what I know already, my feelings, my opinions on the high road and low road of Aquarius. So, the sun is in Aquarius. It entered the sign yesterday. It will be there for the next 30 days. So, first of all, let's just get started. So, the low road of this sign is one that is detached in an unhealthy way. The low road of the sign is, well, rebelling. To put it bluntly, rebelling. That's the low road of the sign. You may be thinking, oh, well, isn't that a big part of it? Why would that be the low road? Just go out into the world and have experiences in the workforce. Go out into the world and experience it. And maybe you'll be saying the same thing. So, Aquarius, the downside of it is the rebel. It is the one that marches to the beat of its own drum and does not want to follow, does not want to give in to other people and what they have to say, what, how they feel about this, what they're teaching Aquarius, wherever you have it in your chart. And Aquarius, it's really in all of us. Aquarius, you can either be, cut off, resist, rebel. Why should I do this? Why should I do this? Questioning, and questioning. Why this? Why that? Why do I have to listen to you? Saying no a lot of the time, no, and then, just causing disruption, wasting people's time. and arguing with others and getting themselves into trouble. That's the downside. Astrology is not an excuse. Just because the sun is in Aquarius doesn't mean, oh, if an authority tells me to do something, then that gives me permission to, if I don't want to do it, then I have the freedom because Aquarius is about my own ideals, liberating myself so I can choose not to and I can speak up and convince others, convince myself that no, I don't have to do this. Guess what? No, that's not the high road of Aquarius. Because when you get defensive, when you rebel, especially against authority, then you are really causing damage in the relationship. You're hurting that relationship because Aquarius is about communities and it is about coming together with other people and connecting and being social and being open and learning from others. Seeing things from their perspective, understanding why they're telling you this, why um, they do this, understanding that people want the best for you, people care for you. And at certain points, you may not see it, but in the end, that is so incredibly true. You know, the downside is Aquarius. I'm gonna detach. I'm not gonna give a darn about what others think because I don't have to. Guess what? You do. You need to be practical. You need to be down to earth. You need to cooperate. You need to be considerate and respectful of others. Um, because that's really, really how you can get far into the world. Um, so, um, I had something in mind. I had like a couple things in mind that were there, and they just slipped. They'll probably come back at some point, or I'll probably explain them in different ways. Sometimes it happens. I'm sure that you've all had that experience where you're talking about something and you really, really want to say this, and then you're talking about this thing, and then it just slips. Well, anyway, um, you know, um, so yeah, that's the downsides of that sign. Is just not having an open mind, having a closed mind. No, 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 no. When you say no and when you rebel against others, then it hurts the relationship. It hinders what you need from life, like money. You're not going to get very far in life, but also you're limiting yourself off of um, certain, um, off of so many things. And I could list endless examples. There will be certain things that you do have to do in life that you may not want to or you may disagree with. That you may have experiences and times where you just don't want to follow authority and this and that. And that's wrong. You cannot rebel against authority. You can't because it's wrong. You know, instead of rebelling, instead of resisting and saying no, 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 and arguing and, really giving them a hard time, um, all of those things. I was listening to a TED talk of a lady who talked about the age of Aquarius, and you know what she said. The age of Aquarius is something that at any point, at any time, we can live and experience, but that is our choice. We make things happen, the planets, the sun sign, whatever. But, and also, the whole thing about getting out of the box, shifting your mindset of how you view it, opening yourself up. But so, anyway, when it comes to connections with other people, the high road of Aquarius is the sign that's not going to rebel. It's not going to stand out in bad ways. That it's going to, that are very risky ways that it's going to hurt others and hurt the relationships with others in life. But it is a sign that it's going to um, be this woman who who gave this TED talk, who said, there is somebody who, I think it was like he or she was in charge of like immigrant um, crossover immigration, um, an organization involving immigration. And he had all of these statements that he was making, all of these, rules and regulations that she did not agree with. And at one point, at one time, instead of getting defensive, instead of going after this person, instead of arguing, you know, I want to be real. I don't believe in this. You have to take the left brain, combine it with the spirituality, with the heart energy. Calm down. If you find yourself getting defensive, calm down. Maybe shutting your eyes, dropping into your heart, and asking the person, I just want to know why I have to do this. I just want to know just why you think the way you think, why you feel the way you do about this, in a gentle way. If it would come across as being negative, then that would be rebelling and that would be arguing, period. But if you get into just if you drop into your heart and you come at it from a caring, understanding place and ask the person gently and kindly and respectfully, and you can really understand where the person is coming from, where the authority figure is coming from. I don't want to name any name whatsoever because that would be wrong to do. To sit right now on this live stream and call someone out is not right. However, I was sitting in a classroom, and there was this friend of mine who, um, one of the teachers and then the associate, um, were talking to him and trying to make him understand, ingrain it into his mind, you know, what's right and wrong. And um, they were upset, they were frustrated, they were aggravated with him. And the wrong thing to do would be to resist and rebel, would be to get defensive and argue with them. The right thing to do would be to know and trust that they care and to just admit how you would feel and be honest about it. And they would probably say, like, we're not trying to um, take away your breathing room. We're not trying to make it difficult for you. We just want the best for you because we care. That's why we're having this conversation with you. So it's an openness of heart. Aquarius is about communities, it's very humanitarian. It is about um, respecting and maybe appreciating the differences of people. I do it my way. I encourage you to do it your way, is the mantra. I do it my way, that is, and I blend the worlds. I was watching Aquarius, The Art of Reframing from Deborah Silverman. I'm going to look at how I can innovate something, let's just say. I mean, it doesn't have to be that. It's kind of specie gen, but anyway, um, I'm going to take what was and see how I can innovate it and make it better. Um, and not being very, very preachy or pushy or defensive about it, but gently doing it, suggesting it instead of like telling people, ordering people, and being open to what they have to say, being open to how they feel about this, and considering that it's really a social energy of coming together because air is about learning, air is about communication, the right use of communication coming together, and Aquarius is about, being one in humanity. And how is rebelling against other people going to help you in life socially? I mean, that doesn't make sense. That does not make sense. Go outside the box, be the individual without rebelling in a way that it would hurt others, in a way that it would um, put a strain on relationships and cause any, and I mean any difficulty, any holdups. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So, just an example that I gave. School is going on at this time when the sun is in Aquarius. We don't live our lives just based off of the stars and how the planets are moving. That's just not realistic. So, school is very related to Capricorn because it is a governmentally run system. It's very vertical, um, top down. Why am I going to school? Let's just, yeah, this is not personal, this is general or generic. Why would kids be going to school, which is Capricorn, government? Capricorn rules governments when the sun's in Aquarius. And that's just one example of a question that you could ask. There's many, many other things and life situations, things going on in life that don't align with the stars. You cannot use astrology as an excuse. So, because excuses and maybe also, being a victim and trying to, preach, preach, preach about things that aren't right, that you can't change, that you can't control, that you can't make a difference, and, which become a waste of your energy, a waste of your breath. Make them, manifest them. What are you going to do about it? Not just vent. We all need to vent. We all need to get that stuff out. But, what are you going to do about it? How is it going to be constructive? How are you going to change the whole line of the school system and government? What power do you have? What can you do? Don't try to abuse, rob yourself of your power, overwork yourself, trying to get rid of something you don't have the power to get rid of. What can I do? That is Aquarian, that I can control, that is not rebelling or hurting others by any means, that is worrying about you, worrying about what you can do in your own life, your own self worth, and not worrying about just trying to take down something, trying to compete against something, try to win over, or trying to, get back at this person or whatever. That is not something worth worrying about. And if it would hurt others in a negative way, then that is where it stops. Period. Um, so the economics classroom, as an example of school. School is going on during Aquarius season. It is the middle of winter. And school is very Capricorn. It's very, very traditional. If you think about all of those themes of Capricorn, and then you take Aquarius, And, the thing about Capricorn and Aquarius is that Aquarius has all of these ideas, all of these things that it wants to change. Oh, okay. Capricorn can put those things into realistic, earthy manifestations, um, actions, of what we want to accomplish. Okay, well, how are we going to achieve this? What does it mean if this is not going to be true in the world? What's the point? Let's do something about it. That's sort of constructive energy. So, um, um, so you might be forced to learn this or that. You might be forced to read this article, sit in and engage with or do whatever. It's not about rebelling and saying, "Oh, I don't have to. Yeah, I want to go my own way. Why should I? Why should I like engage with this? Why should I follow that? Why should I put effort into this? Waste my time and energy on it?" And even that is rebelling. Even that is rebelling, and rebelling is limiting. Rebelling closes the mind, and Aquarius is not about closing the mind. It is about learning, discovering, openness, opening up the mind. And so it's maybe shifting your perspective, maybe shifting how you look at something. Instead of looking at it, as being the same thing and then the work and, going through the motions and all those things, instead of, you know, being inside the box, that box really is your perspective and your mindset. That was probably maybe either negative or it was smaller, um, or maybe you didn't, sit down and apply yourself, get interested and engage with what you're learning. That's the high road of Aquarius. Sitting in the classroom and, this is what I have to do. So I might as well be open minded. I might as well, be open to exploration, discovery, learning new things, doing new things, accomplishing this, accomplishing that, learning a lot from it, um, as wonderful opportunity is applying myself to it, investing myself, and engaging my mind into what I'm learning, and being not being picky, being open minded towards this, being open minded towards as much as I can be, and also listening to others' perspectives and feelings and opinions of what they have to say, um, The questions, what the teacher has to say, what the teacher wants to teach and educate you about, because the teacher is no different than yourself, because you're both human. And again, that's closing the mind down a little bit. We're all different, one in humanity, connecting. We're all different, but we're all one, but we're all different. So it's that sort of thing. Embracing the differences without judging them, without judging others for how they think, that you don't think in the same way. Aquarius is also a sign that can be at a low level, kind of a know-it-all sign, like very, very advanced and intellectual sign that is ahead of its time, and is not, at the low level, is not open to other ways of looking at something, other ways of thinking about something, other ways of different ways of doing something, because not everyone is an Aquarius, yet Aquarius is in all of us and is a part of us that we can tap into if we're open hearted, if we open our mind and really, really focus and listen to what they have to say, consider this, consider learning this, consider this new idea. You know, I'm expanding my palette of knowledge. I'm sitting in the classroom and I'm learning and I'm engaging. This is interesting. Even, if it's something, maybe it's something that maybe it's a particular class or whatever you're doing that may be boring or mundane or not that interesting to you. Um, it's really, not going through the motions of it, but really applying and investing. Maybe also finding something that is interesting out of it that you can take away from it. So, openness to learning, openness to whatever you're doing, even if it is the same thing over and over again, even if it is staying inside the box. Because when you rebel and say, no, 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 I'm not going to do that, I'm going to do my own thing, this and that. I, you know, I, I didn't have to do that. I would much rather be doing this. I much would rather would be reading this instead of this. Well, that is rebellious, and that, as I said is before, is not being open. So, um, that's essentially what it is. Even if, you're an Aquarius and you really, really disagree with this person, come together and understand their perspective, understand where they're coming from, considering, and maybe going by the book, following authority. It's really not on others, it is on you and your mind and maybe attitude, because the box is really a mental mindset, viewing it as small. It's time to realize that, wow, I thought the box was pretty small, but actually the box is pretty darn big. What if you had a box the size of the world? And if you were to go out of the box Well, you couldn't go out of the box because that would be outer space. And you'd be living on a glyph, and you need to be practical in the world, cooperative, respectful, open. Um, so it's getting outside of the box while staying inside the box, vice versa, maybe. So, I thought that I would come on and discuss this, talk about this, because it is something that at the moment I am passionate about talking about. So, and I think that's perfect timing because it's Aquarius season. The sun has entered Aquarius. And so, thank you for tuning in.